Chapter 385. Two Kings Attack. Listening to the little girl's explanation, Kangxia drifted off. In fact, they had guessed it. If the formation was so easily forced, would the Dawnbreaker scattered immortals still use it as a test? Obviously, they could only go on with their heads. Since that's the case, I, Little Gold, will come to learn about this bridge of Na'ih. I'd like to see how much gravity is above it. Humph. Hearing this, Little Gold stepped onto the Na'ih bridge first and walked towards the opposite side. Boom. With a boom, Little Gold stood firmly on the Na'ih bridge, only to hear a surprised shout. Brother, what a strong gravity! Equivalent to 10 times that of the outside world. Hearing this, Kangxion's trio also stepped on, and indeed felt the gravity steeply increase tenfold. Their bodies all seemed to sink violently. Let's go. It shouldn't be that simple. The gravity at the back will definitely increase, Kangxia said gruffly. At that moment, the few people began to slowly march. 10 times the gravity was nothing to Kangxia and the others, and they walked to the 100th step in no time. When stepping out of the 110th step, Kangxion's eyes shrunk as he violently felt his body sink once again. That gravity suddenly increased to 50 times. Go. Kangxia drank slowly. They were powerful. Even with 50 times gravity, it was still useless to them. Starting from the 101st step, when they reached the 201st step, the gravity increased again, this time from 50 times to 100 times. Kangxia and the others still did not stop and continued to advance. At the 310th step, the gravity reached 200 times. At the 410th step, the gravity reached 400 times. At the 510th step, the gravity reached 800 times. At the 610th step, the gravity reached 1600 times. By this time, Zhaolinga was already sweating profusely. She wasn't a body refining cultivator. She couldn't compare to Kangxia, Zijin, and Brahmadin, and the gravity of more than 1,000 times had already caused her a considerable amount of pressure, and her entire body was as if she were advancing with a huge mountain on her back. Even Kangxion's trio, their speed had slowed down a lot at this moment. Every step they took left a deep footprint on the ground. From this, it could be seen how huge the gravity they were carrying was. When they took the 710th step, the gravity reached 3,200 times. At this moment, Zhaolinga mustered up a powerful True Origin shield and used it to resist the massive gravity, while Kangxion's trio also began to sweat on their foreheads. With over 3,000 times the gravity, even a Yuanying stage powerhouse would be instantly crushed to pieces. Advancing once more, when they stepped onto the 810th step, the gravity surged once more, reaching a terrifying 6,400 times. Suddenly subjected to this terrifying pressure, Zhaolinga's entire body was directly pressed down. Her small face tensed up and clenched her teeth before she stood up stiffly. But at this moment, her forward speed was much slower, and she could only walk step by step on the ground. If the previous reveal was only a 10-minute period of time, then when it came to this 800th to 900th step, it took them a full 3 hours. At this time, Zijin and Fan Din had also both put up their True Origin shields, and Kangxia was the only one who was still insisting on walking with his powerful physical body. When they finally reached the 900th step, a look of gravity appeared in all 4 of their eyes. According to the law, with one more step, the gravity we are enduring will reach 12,800 times, Van Din said in a deep voice. Ho ho ho. Little Gold panted heavily and said in a muffled voice, there's just this last 100 steps left. Let's rush through together. Kangxia nodded, then looked slightly worriedly at Zhaolinga next to him. This girl was currently unable to stand. With a look of exhaustion, it looked like it would be difficult to walk through these last 100 steps. This miss will try. If I can't pass, this miss will go back and wait for you guys, Zhaolinga said sullenly, clearly a little depressed that she couldn't keep up. "All right then, be careful," Kang Chia instructed, then stepped out first. Boom! Only a roar rang out as Kang Chon's footsteps stepped out. The gravity, that was more than 10,000 times heavier, was violently imposed on his body, and the massive force caused the earth under his feet to crack open a slit. Feeling the dreadfulness of this gravity, Kang Chia didn't retreat in the slightest, his eyes filled with battle intent, only to see him roar out, not exerting a true origin chest shield. Completely relying on his powerful physical body, he stood rigidly above the 910th step. Looking at such a strong Kang Chia, the three little jinns viewed it with a "you're a pervert" look. "Holy shit, this is fine, Monkey Master will fight." Seeing that Kang Chia was able to support that massive gravity without releasing his true origin chest shield, Little Gold was shocked for a moment. Then he gritted his teeth and took a step. Boom! There was an equally loud bang. More than 10,000 times the gravity pressed down, causing Zijin's face to change. And then he didn't have time to react before he was pressed down to one knee by this gravity. Thud! His knee knelt on the ground and knocked out a large crater, surrounded by silky cracks. Zijin's face immediately turned red. This was a disgrace. They hurriedly supported themselves to stand up, but their body could not stand straight. They could only bend over. This gravity is to to powerful . Little Gold held his breath and said with a depressed face. A few moments later, Van Din also stepped out, and with Little Gold's lesson, he hurriedly exploded all of his true essence as he stepped out. Under the support of the thick true essence chest shield, Van Din didn't kneel on one knee, but the situation wasn't very good either. Bending his waist just like Zijin, even lower than Zijin. But Van Din was very satisfied. He smiled and said, "Although it's tough, it shouldn't be a problem to finish these last 100 steps." Saying that, a confident smile appeared on his face. Kang Chia nodded, then looked towards Zhao Linga, who was hesitating whether to advance or not. This girl had an anxious face at the moment. Obviously Little Jin's woeful condition earlier had made her a little worried. "I say, little girl, you'd better go back," Zijin said with a smile. "Blah blah blah, you stinking monkey. This young lady won't lose to you." Perhaps irritated by Little Jin, Zhao Linga cursed a few times before gathering her courage and stepping out. Boom! A huge gravity instantly pressed down. Where could her poor little body support it? And she was instantly pressed down to the ground by this huge gravity. The little girl's eyes reddened, and she instantly burst into tears. After entering the cultivation world for so many years, how had she ever suffered like this, and made such a mess? "Drink!" Seeing this, Kang Chia bellowed, picking up the little girl with one hand, and throwing her towards the back, this time throwing her 300 steps away. With more than 300 steps back, the gravity on the little girl's body suddenly disappeared a lot, and she became relaxed, and hurriedly climbed up and wiped the tears from the corners of her eyes, and retreated back to the starting point of the Naik Bridge without looking back. Obviously, this girl had given up. "We'll be right back," Kang Chia shouted at the little girl, but the little girl didn't reply and just squatted aside, sulking. Kang Chia laughed and then greeted Little Gold and Brahma Din as they continued on. This last 100 steps they took were very difficult. Almost without taking a step, they had to stop for a moment. A mere 100 steps. Normally, it would only take less than a second, but this time it took 3 days. When stepped out of 1,000 steps, away from walking to the end of the Naik Bridge, Small Gold and Brahma Heart to people are tired and exhausted, directly collapsed on the ground gasping for breath. Kang Chia, on the other hand, did not do so as he closed his eyes, his body emitting a burst of light golden light. Hehe, brothers 9 turns, Zhuang Gong has made a breakthrough. Seeing such a condition, Little Gold's eyes instantly lit up, and he said with a face full of joy, He was right. On this test of the Bridge of Nai, Kang Chiu passed the test entirely by virtue of his physical body strength, which caused his 9-turn Zhuanggong to finally break through the critical point, from the middle of the 6th layer into the late of the 6th layer. This was a great progress. With the breakthrough of the 9-turn Zhuanggong, Kang Chon's physical body had become even more powerful and was already close to an extreme grade treasure weapon. Once his physical body reached the extreme grade treasure weapon level, Kang Tia would be able to fight against early stage harmonization powerhouses with his physical strength alone.